Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have a Charlie horse in the back of my leg right now. It hurts. God damn it. But that is not what we're here to talk about. Today we are taking another dive into the 35M Boss Mood palette by Morphe. This is my second tutorial with this palette, plus all the other times that I've used it just in my day-to-day makeup application. There's so many colors in it, and it's so inspiring that I just want to dip into it all the time and create as many looks as I can. So this is the look that we created today. If you want to see how this was all put together, then just keep on watching. So I know that I already used this palette 2 videos ago, but there's so many different color combinations in here that I felt like I needed to go right back into it again. I've pretty much already used all of like these green tones in here, these like khaki kind of pukey colored transition shades. I've used this, but I haven't yet gone into like the purples or the reds or any of those. So that's what I want to do today. I'm going to start with the shade Candy Crush, which is down here on this bottom row. I'm going to take that on an M504 and I'm going to kind of start to stamp it into my socket. Well, where I want my socket to really be. I'm going to go above that and really actually onto my brow bone. I drew my eyebrows up pretty high today because I wanted this look to be just a little bigger, a little bit more blown out. And I've not used the shade yet. I've not used any of like the reds or the purple tones in this palette. But I'm really excited to use these colors and just kind of see how these ones turned out because all of the green tones worked out really well for me. And then using a clean M504, I'm just gonna start to blow this out along this very edge here, just to kind of soften up these harsh lines, especially right underneath the eyebrow right there. And I'm gonna leave just a little bit of space open right there for now, just in case I wanna go in with either like an orange or maybe even a green later on. I'm not quite sure, but I figure we'll give ourselves some room to play with. And then this is actually the brush that I started with. I'm just kind of taking whatever is left in those bristles and just kind of bringing that shadow in a little bit this way to almost connect down into my nose contour just a tiny bit. And then going back into a second dip into Candy Crush. And then just kind of pounce that into the crease area or kind of low in the socket. And then kind of looking from far away, going back and just kind of blending out those kind of harsh edges that I see there. Really what you see as kind of like a harsh line here and here isn't so much an actual harsh line as it is my anatomy and that giant brow bone that I have that just kind of hangs there. So you're seeing kind of like the light reflecting off of the front part of that brow bone, where if I kind of tip my head back, you see that it is a pretty seamless blend there. It's just that brow bone is so goddamn big, just kind of makes everything look weird. That brow bone also makes blending on the outside edges of my eyeshadow always look a little bit unblended from a straight on view of my makeup as well, because it's so rounded out there that it almost kind of cuts that off and makes it not look like a smooth blend, you know what I mean? But if you look at it from the side, it's got a nice blend. It's got a nice blend there. Blend it out nice there and into that area. But again, from straight on, it looks a little chunky. But that's my face. That's what I got. That's what I was given. That's what I have to work with. So it is what it is. And on the same brush with the same shade, I'm just gonna kind of wrap that around the under eye. And I wanna keep everything really blown out pretty big. So even my under eye area, it's basically, the shadow is gonna fill my entire eye socket on the underneath side as well. Almost giving me like a sunken in like skeleton effect, only with prettier colors. And then for my second shade on a Morphe M330, I'm gonna dip into the shade Sweet Beets. And I just want to start to build the crease up even more. And with what's in my head right now, I kind of feel like I'm gonna end up using like half of this palette on my face today. I think we're gonna get a chance to use all of the colors that I haven't used yet, so I'm pretty excited. So far, everything I've used out of this palette has been so fucking good. I like it the way that I like the original Jaclyn Hill palette. I guess I haven't really read or heard any negative reviews or comments necessarily about this palette yet. But again, I try not to pay that much attention to what everybody's saying about every single product release, because it'll drive you crazy anyway. I think that I could probably get rid of everything but this and the original Jaclyn Hill palette and have everything that I personally would need for any makeup look I would ever want to do on myself, you know what I mean? But I really don't have much interest in the James Charles palette, only because I kind of felt like I thought it was gonna be the 35B, except for maybe even punched up a little bit more. And I just kind of felt like the bottom half of that palette, like the last two rows, are kind of the start of what I would want that palette to be, but I want it to extend from that shade range and be better than that even. And then it ended up being like 3 rows of like mostly kind of like neutrals. So I'm gonna pass on that. I'm gonna make do with what I have now, and hopefully at some point somebody will come out with something similar that I really will just have some genuine interest in. And then on that same brush, taking Power Slayer, which is a matte deep purple, and then laying that down over top of Sweet Beets, which I'm gonna kind of end up covering up what I did with Sweet Beets for the most part. And it's funny, I pulled my hair up on the top of my head just so it would be out of the way while I was putting my makeup on today. And it's not like a style by any means, but I kind of like the way that it looks. I don't know. Stamping a little bit more of Sweet Beets on there just because I don't want to completely get rid of that pinky red tone. I don't want to totally cover it up. And then on a little bit smaller of a brush, but the same idea. So you've got the Morphe M330, which is what I just used for my crease. And then you have the M507, which is the same idea, the same kind of shape, but just a little bit smaller. And then I'm gonna use Power Slayer on this brush so that we can swipe it underneath the eyes and give me that really big raccoony kind of blown out smoky eye, but still keep some control. You know, I'm definitely feeling like a goth kid right now. And then going into Transformer on that same M507. And this is just another shade that I haven't used yet, so I just wanted to play with as many shades as possible that I just haven't yet touched. In this color, I'm keeping really, really low. I'm actually tucking it into my actual crease of my eye. And then I am kind of like blending out in this area. But out here where I want it to be the darkest and I want there to be the most saturation of that darker color, I'm really just kind of stamping that in. And this shade just builds so easily and gets so dark, but there's no fallout from this color at all. It's so crazy. I'm using Transformer on a pencil brush just to pack that color into that lower lash line, really darken it up down there, really smoke it out, but have even more control because now we've moved on to a pencil brush. So I'm gonna black out my waterline with this Maybelline gel pencil, and then I'm gonna blow all of that out with the shade Black Magic. And there is definitely fallout with this color, but I have enough powder laid down that it'll be totally fine and it won't be a big, huge mess to clean up. I spoke too soon. I just totally created a mess. I'm definitely gonna go ahead and clean that up now before it stains. It definitely got a little murkier underneath than I would have wanted it to, but we're just gonna roll with it. We'll throw something sparkly down and create a diversion and nobody will be the wiser. So I'm gonna use the shade Grape Expectations. I'm gonna apply that to the lid with my finger. But before I do that, I'm actually gonna use this Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit lipstick. This is in the shade Purple Panic. And I'm gonna use this as an eyeshadow primer for that shimmery purple. And I'm gonna apply it with the doe foot. I'm just gonna kind of press that into the lid and then give it just a few seconds to kind of dry down a little bit before I press that shimmery purple eyeshadow over top of it. And I think that this is going to create just a really nice base for that. And before that's had a chance to set all the way down, I'm just gonna press that shadow right over top. I am gonna take a small packing brush and just kind of hit right along the edge there. And since I really do want to add some orange into this look, just to warm things up a tiny bit more, I'm going to take the shade Fired Up on a Morphe E17, which is this bright kind of pumpkin orange color. And I'm going to tuck that right into my inner corner, kind of blend into that smoked out lower lash line there, just to kind of take away some of the murkiness that's going on underneath and just kind of warm things up a touch. I think saving some room for that orange was definitely a good decision because I like the way that that all kind of blends in together. Now we're just kind of throwing more shit on top of shit, so this is where it could either get really creative and really cool looking or just turn into a giant fucking mess, and we have no idea. But again, it's makeup. We're playing around. It's fine. And since we're throwing more shit on top of more shit, let's go ahead and use the shade Stroke of Luck on a Morphe E38. And I think what I want to do with that is just kind of go into this area here where I had kind of muddied things up with that black eyeshadow, and just kind of add some of that grossness in there. And then I think what we can do with this is just kind of tie this into like my cheekbone highlight, and we'll just kind of, figure out a game plan for that too. I feel like this is almost starting to look a little bit bruised, but I'm kind of okay with that. And so I have this matte orange kind of happening on this inner corner here, but I want to add to that and add a little bit of highlight. I think I'm going to use the shade Pop Star and lay that down over top of the NYX Glitter Primer and just kind of layer it over top of the orange. That way we have that kind of like neon shimmery green and the orange going on there in that inner corner. And again, just add another distraction and add more stuff just for the sake of adding more stuff and using another color in this palette. We'll go ahead and get obnoxious with the highlight. This is the Glam Gold Highlighter by Posh Pepper Beauty. This was a custom shade that I made on her website. If there is a color that she does not make, she will make it for you. And from my experience, she's pretty spot on if you have specifications on colors and tones, and shifts from, one color into another. The few that I've made were pretty much spot on to what I wanted. So I also want to take that just on the tip of my nose to have a little bit of green reflection there on the Cupid's bow, and then maybe just under the brow. So let me get some mascara and lips on, and I'll be right back to wrap this up. So after a quick coat of Lash Paradise and a layer of Coral Optics by MAC, we have our final look put together. But I actually love the way that it turned out. It's like this weird, ugly, bruised, it's like bruised fruit. I really like the way that it turned out. I love this palette. They're carrying this palette at Ulta now. Head down there and pick one up. It's only, like $35 or something like that? It's super cheap. So that's video number 2 with this palette. I'll go ahead and give it a rest for a few videos, but definitely expect to see more looks with this palette in the near future. But all of the usual things apply. Give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscription button down below, tell all your friends about it so they know to watch, and I'll see you guys on the next one.